PitstopStan, Ro, Chino, and Emil from the longest-running weekly episodic Filipino wrestling podcast. This is the Wrestling Podcast, and we're so happy to announce that Wrestling Quiz Nights are finally back. Yes, we are doing it this September 23, and appropriately enough, we're calling it the Wrestling Quiz Night. The Wrestling Quiz Night. Chino, tell them more about it.
So usually, before the pandemic, we'd have these once in a while. It'd be your basic question and answer format and themes. But this time around, since I was put in charge, we're doing things a little differently. Yes, we are going to test you on your wrestling knowledge, but we will also test your wrestling fandom. What does that mean? Come and find out. It'll be an interesting night of wrestling, shared love for professional wrestling on Saturday, September 23 at the Hobby Stadium.
Siyempre, pag may quiz night, meron din tayong mga papremyo. And you can get these cool prizes from our friends and partners, a sensational Sherry action figure from Hobbyline Toy Store, and some wrestling t-shirts from Everybody's Toys and Collectibles, and from also our partners from Hobby Stadium. They got some WWE trading cards to give away, plus some GCs. So if you join in, you'll have fun, and then you also get the chance to win these cool, amazing prizes.
Yeah, and you can play by yourself, you can grab a friend, you can be a duo or a trio or even more. We don't care as long as you drop by and come by. You can also, just come and vibe with us if you don't want to play and feel the pressure of winning all these cool prizes. So once again, Hobby Stadium, New Manila, Doña Hemedy Street, and it's going to be a September 23, 8 p.m. Tickets are 350 pesos. Just come in and walk by and we'll have some fun.
The Pod Network Entertainment.
What's going on? This is Xavier Woods, aka Austin Creed.
Welcome to the big time!
Hello, WWE Universe in the Philippines. This is Charlotte.
You know your damn role and shut your damn mouth.
Hey everyone, this is Jeff Cobb.
I have to finish the story.
We are pretty deadly. Yes, boy. Yes, boy.
Hello, my name is Ilya Dragunov, the Czar.
Bang! The sniper is shooting you down. This is TMDK's Robbie Eagles, and you are listening to the Wrestling Podcast.
You're listening to the longest-running weekly episodic Filipino wrestling podcast. This is the Wrestling Podcast. Stan C, Romoran, and Chino Liao checking in on an audio-only Picks of the Week special. That's how we like to begin our week here on the Wrestling Podcast. Putting together some of the best wrestling from the week that was, just so we can help you cherry-pick ano yung mga gusto yung panoorin in case you don't have the time to catch everything. Kami na naman, we don't have the time to catch everything, but we do make time to catch as much as we can and to distill it for you, the very busy, hopefully working Pinoy wrestling fan. Before we get to our picks, let's tell you about a couple of events that are going on in our part of the wrestling community dito sa Pinas. Let's start off with Quiz Night, which is happening in just a few days, Saturday, September 23.
Yeah, we just got a lot more prizes in store for everybody. Sa Quiz Night, tumataginting na t-shirts, figures, trading cards, gift certificates, all up for grabs at the very first in a long time. Wrestling Quiz Night hosted by the Wrestling Podcast. It'll be a night where everybody gets to test their wrestling mettle, their wrestling know-how in a series of questions and or activities that will really put you to the test through the ringer, so to speak. So you want to know what those are? Well, the only way you can find out is to come to our little quiz night. That's happening September 23, 8 p.m. at the Hobby Stadium in Giovanni Building, Doña Hemedy, New Manila, Quezon City. Tickets are at 350 pesos. That gets you entry to the quiz night and a free iced tea courtesy of the good people of Hobby Stadium.
Yeah, thank you very much to our partners who have really been so supportive of everything we're doing for Quiz Night, just to bring it back for the wrestling fans here in Metro Manila at least. So, shout out to our friends from Hobbyline Toy Store. Sila yung nag-provide ng sensational Sherry action figure. To our friends Dwayne and Dwight Manalastas of Everybody's Toys and Collectibles. They've got some wrestling shirts that they're giving away. And to our friends from Hobby Stadium, Mr. Steven Go and the rest of the gang, they're giving us those WWE trading cards, those GCs, and T-shirts from Hobby Stadium. And as we've been saying in our promotional material, you can come in and play on your own. You can be part of a tag team, be in a trio. Max na siguro yung 4 or 5. But everybody pays a ticket to join, and it should be a lot of fun, whether you're playing on your own or with your friends. Syempre, the goal is to make more friends out of this experience. So we hope that you can join us for Quiz Night happening on September 23, Saturday at Hobby Stadium. That's at Doña Hemadi Corner, E. Rodriguez Avenue in QC.
May parking din siya for those of people who are asking kung may parking.
Yeah.
Also very accessible via public transportation. So wala na yung excuse to miss out, guys.
Wow, walang excuse. I mean, barring any important life events.
Oh yeah, of course, yes, life and all that. Yes.
But hey, you can also just come by if you don't want to play. It's totally fine to just vibe and chill out with the rest of the wrestling community. Maybe talk shit about the people playing if you want to roll like that. But yeah, totally fine. There will be as well at least one MWF wrestler who will be there to hang out. So come by. Just pay for your ticket at the door. No need for any fancy apps or websites here. Just have fun. You get one free iced tea, as Chino said, and a night spent with the best of our local wrestling community in Metro Manila.
Yeah, so there, all of that coming your way on Saturday, September 23. We've also got our growing wrestling podcast patron community where you can be part of all of our events. Among them, yung mga watch parties natin.
Yeah, we'll be doing an NXT watch party for No Mercy next week. That's going to be on October 1, Sunday, Manila time. We'll just be at home hanging out. So feel free to jump on our Discord to watch that with us via the WWE Network. And if you're not on Discord yet, all you got to do to be part of that as well is to sign up for our Patreon program, patreon.com/wrestling podcast for as low as $5 or around 275 pesos in our rising dollar peso palitan here in the Philippines. Thank you to the Beebs enjoying his well-earned vacation in Singapore.
May pang Singapore siya.
Yeah, and so when you join our Patreon program, you get access to our Discord where we talk about anything really, sports, mostly TV shows, video games, the current wrestling that's happening right now. I'm sure that people you ask in the Discord will tell you that it's a nice little community we got going on. It's also about the camaraderie and support for your favorite longest running weekly episodic Filipino wrestling podcast. And syempre, we are doing our pasabays. Our test run for this new system we're doing has worked out well. We're only waiting for the last couple of merch to come here to the Philippines kasi the backlog on WWE shop with the glut of orders for the LA Knight t-shirts. So once we're about to open a new batch because our orders are mostly fulfilled. So stay tuned for when that is going to be. It's going to be coming soon. Syempre, tatapat natin yan sa mga payday ng mga tao. So if you are eyeing some legit WWE merch, AEW merch, Pro Wrestling Tees merch, or even from stores outside of those usual wrestling merch sites, just hit us up. And if you are a part of the Patreon program, you get some preferential rates, a little more discounted than the rates we're giving out to our new customers, if you will. So try it in. Please sign up for Patreon, patreon.com/wrestling podcast for as low as $5.
All right. Now that we've gotten our housekeeping stuff out of the way, let's get to our picks. We're going to start with Chino, and this is something that's now up on Netflix, which a lot of people have been talking about.
Yeah, it's Wrestlers, a docuseries, 7-part docuseries produced by Netflix. And what it essentially is about is OVW and the people behind the scenes. So currently, kung di nyo alam, si Al Snow serves as the CEO and one of the co-owners of OVW after WWE parted ways with it a few years back. So OVW, known of course as the former developmental territory of the WWE. Diyan galing yung infamous or famous batch na sila Cena, Orton, Batista, Brock Lesnar, Shelton Benjamin. Many years later, OVW is still around, and we get an inside look on how everything is run. And by inside look, I mean really inside. We get messy and delve deep into the lives of the wrestlers currently under the OVW brand or promotion. We also get an inside look into the wrestling business as a whole. Diba? Kasi on a weekly basis, we discuss the goings on in the wrestling world, and itong docu-series na to also tackles that in depth and very well done, if I may add. So that was actually what took up most of my weekend. Binge watch in between doing my special and other things. I had time to sit down and watch all 7 episodes of Wrestlers, and it was actually a very successful binge for me. I really suggest that as wrestling fans and even as non-wrestling fans, Wrestlers should be added to your watch list.
Yeah, how many episodes have you seen?
I've only seen the first episode today. I was busy catching up on all the wrestling over the weekend. It's interesting, yeah. Chino said that non-wrestlers or non-wrestling fans should watch it, and I agree with that. Especially wrestlers who aren't part of the business, behind the scenes as a wrestler or someone working in production. Everyone has to watch this to understand what we, meaning to say kami, namin nasa industriya, are going through on a surprisingly and uncomfortably regular basis here, and it's really a little off-putting how much or how familiar the scenarios in the series in the docu-series is to all of us here. So to me, I felt like the first episode was like, okay, I don't need to watch this. This is literally our lives over the past decade or so.
Nakakatawa na sinabi mo yan, Ro, because I have a chef friend who refuses to watch The Bear for the exact same reason. So
it's not that I refuse to watch it. It's more of, okay, this doesn't cover any new territory for me, but I appreciate it because it's obviously not made for us wrestling fans. Because there's a whole lot of explanation going on. Like David Shoemaker is in there, really well made up as well, talking about what wrestling is, what pro wrestling is, how it goes down, what the business is all about. Al Snow also discusses all of that stuff. They even get into some business stuff, creative stuff that I know all too well as well. It's also a big dilemma here in the local wrestling scene. So it's not for me. It's for you.
Pati yung mga extracurriculars sa mga wrestlers na dinidisiplina pa sila ni Al Snow and everything. Na dito rin naman, we have our own extracurriculars as well, pero wala kaming Al Snow to keep everybody in check.
Oh yeah, we do kind of have one in a way, in a manner of speaking, pero syempre we only did get that like later, mas ngayon lang, diba? And it's one of those things. I hope that people watch this so they understand the kinds of personalities and psyches that inhabit our industry. I'm not, now that I know what it is, now that I know what's in the series, I'm not in a big rush to watch all of it. I don't know about you guys, but it's nice. It's well done for sure. But this is too much of my real life to make me care that much about it.
So there are 2 things I want to say about Wrestlers. The first is I've only seen the first couple of episodes, but like you, Ro, there's so many familiar elements, but it all feels too real, and for a good reason, because we did live through this stuff, and we have been living through this stuff. That being said, what I appreciate about the documentary is at least yung part of its conceit is the fact that there's a ticking time bomb, so to speak, on OVW. Na they're facing a financial burden, and meron silang co-owners, meron silang financiers who have put pressure on Al Snow na kapag hindi kumita yung investment nila, which is OVW, they're gonna shut it down, or they're gonna have to refigure out a way to recoup that investment. So that's a classic documentary storytelling device where if you're documenting a small business or a small endeavor, you put pressure into the story by putting a time limit on it. Obviously, this was filmed last year. and it's 2023, buhay pang OVW. So that also tells you a little something about the behind the scenes goings on of filmmakers and documentaries, how they really make something feel like merong urgency to the matter. Diba? Otherwise, it would be just like every other wrestling documentary that's produced about small-time promotions. That doesn't mean that this is bad, though. I'm just saying that when you're watching it, you're thinking, is OVW in danger? I don't know if it is, but it's still alive today.
I mean, granted, it's not like we're... I don't know if you're... pero ako, I didn't really feel na never sila naging at risk eh. Kasi, yes, granted, may kwento ko pa rin kailangan i-kwento, diba? But at the same time, it is a small business. It is very believable na mawawalan sila ng pera, diba? These are all like very real stakes here. So kahit alam na natin na yung ending na OVW is still around, I guess they didn't go under, it didn't necessarily mean that at that point in time, there were no real stakes, diba? Or everything was just invented on the spot.
Ang alam ko, OVW is available to watch on Fight. I think it's for free. So if you ever feel the need to, find out for yourself what they were talking about, or what the series is about, what they highlighted there, you can go on Fight and watch all of that stuff. So I'm guessing it's very much still alive now.
Oh naman, it is still alive. The second thing I wanted to bring up was that I juxtaposed it with Monster Factory, which is another wrestling documentary which is out on Apple TV. So that one covers the Monster Factory, which is run by Danny Cage out of Paulsboro, New Jersey. So ganun din, it's a 6-part docuseries. It's much shorter, much lighter in tone compared to Wrestlers. And yung Monster Factory, even the visuals, the feel of it is very... it's very much like a teen movie, kind of like Scott Pilgrim, even with the graphics and everything. So when you compare Monster Factory and Wrestlers, you get a sense of the difference in the way na inatake nila yung pag-cover ng same subject, which is a small independent promotion. In Wrestlers, the focus is really on whether or not Al Snow and his ragtag group of indie wrestlers and veterans can keep this promotion alive and satisfy yung kanilang mga financial backers. Whereas in Monster Factory, the story is about how this very small promotion run by a coach na wala masyadong credentials, doesn't get enough credit, but has a long pedigree of wrestlers na napaangat niya na to the WWE, to AEW, etc. How can they produce their next big star? So, iba yung atake, iba yung angle, but it's essentially the same story. And comparing the two series of the first 2 episodes, mas enjoy ko yung Monster Factory kasi mas light siya. And it presents a different side of something that we've sort of lived through here in the Philippine scene, except it's more hopeful, it's more optimistic, which is not to say na napaka-hopeless ng wrestling scene. It's just that, you're fighting an uphill battle the moment you get into independent wrestling. And it's one of those things that you only really know until you're in there.
I don't know what the story, the overarching story of Monster Factory is. I just really like Wrestlers for the fact that it shows you the life outside of WWE and AEW, whatever's on TV. It's really nice kasi ito yung challenges that we all deal with when people hear that we're wrestlers, we're doing things in the local wrestling industry. We've started up our local wrestling industry. It's not all glitz and glamour and automatic major league level pro wrestlers like you would see in WWE. Diba? So I really want more fans, especially fans who are more on the casual side, to watch this and find out every ugly detail of the industry. Kasi that's what they don't know about, and I wish they would.
Ang ganda din nung sinabi ni Shoemaker during his interview for this show. But in one episode, he goes saying something like, rather na wrestling fans, it's not that wrestling fans are gullible, it's that they're in on the joke. So parang that in itself prefaces all the insider kayfabe smashing details that people will encounter throughout the series, which I also ironically enjoyed kasi I've been on the spot telling people na hindi ko na enjoy kasi nakita ko sineset up nila yung match or sineset up nila yung ring before the show, but for some reason dito na gets ko kasi may context siya within the larger storytelling mechanism that they tried to pull off here. Now I'm not saying na mas nagustuhan ko to than Monster Factory because I have not seen that yet, pero it is to me a more successful endeavor in terms of storytelling kasi mas na-invest ako dun sa mga tao na involved eh.
Yeah. Mas maraming veteran presence for sure dito sa wrestlers. Al Snow pa lang, di ba? 42 years in the business. Cash Flow, one of his veterans in OVW, has also been around a lot. Sina Shoemaker and Kaz, they really speak of him with such high regard. They actually got to interview those two guys on the latest episode of the Masked Man show. So if you've seen at least one episode of Wrestlers and then you check out that interview, magandang complimentary piece siya because those two guys hadn't seen Wrestlers at the time they were interviewed, but they were also able to get into yung hesitation nila to participate in a project like this, especially someone like Al Snow, who in the documentary pa lang is featured as such an old school wrestler na hindi siya as open to ideas even when it's the financial backers that are bringing it up. So nandun yung push and pull, nandun yung tension, di ba? Na the financial backers are trying to bring in some non-wrestling ideas na sinasabi ni Al Snow na, no, that's not gonna work kasi this is how I was raised and ito yung pananaw ko towards the business. So it's a very entertaining push and pull.
Yes, at saka jumping off of that, another subplot na medyo important was the whole doers versus non-doers mechanic that they tried to bring in.
We're going to talk about this.
Hindi ko naabutan yan.
Ha?
We're going to talk about this now, all right?
No, because ako, sorry, Ro, medyo na-spoil ko na siya.
Yeah, no, it's fine. It's a docu-series.
But there is, kasi prevalent din siya sa local scene natin, di ba? And and anything in any industry that you are in. Syempre, may mga taong ayaw makinig sa outside instruction, di ba? And so this was an important
that particular
this was an important talk point throughout the whole documentary kasi the people, the backers that came in to save OVW were, like Stan said, providing significant input into the company. Pero ayaw sila pakinggan no wrestlers because they were not quote-unquote part of the club, di ba? They weren't doing...
Hindi sila wrestler.
Hindi sila wrestler, exactly. So parang...
But he's a mayor, Like the mayor of Louisville, Kentucky is one of the financial backers. He actually won the election.
Yes. I googled who Matt Jones was, and he was a pretty big deal. So
Matt Jones is the sports radio host.
Yes,
Craig Greenwood, yung partner niya, yun yung mayor, pucha.
Yeah, Matt Jones also like a significant personality in Kentucky sports. So itong dalawang pumasok na to, they are actually big deals. It's just that they are also not wrestlers. So madami din push and pull na nangyayari tulad na sinabi ni Stan. So I appreciated that little detail in the series.
Yeah, so go check it out. It's available on Netflix. 7 episodes na tig isang oras. But alternatively, if you want something lighter, a little bit more optimistic, then go check out The Monster Factory on Apple TV. That one is much shorter, 6 episodes that take 30 minutes lang. So pick and choose. But there's an abundance of wrestling documentaries out there that's easily available right now. All right.
Parang walang docu na super light. I mean, they all got to be serious because the wrestling business is not all that light.
I mean, compared to Dark Side of the Ring.
I mean, like it's either Dark Side of the Ring or a documentary about an old wrestler in WWE.
I mean, to be fair, in neither case, no one gets like seriously injured or killed. So
yes. Yeah, that's true. Sorry, go ahead.
Sige. Let's go over to Rowan's pick, which comes from MWF Road to Fate. This was part of, I believe, the pit stop or the first hour, which has already gone on air sa Rock of Manila TV. It's also accessible on the Facebook and YouTube channels of Rock of Manila. He picked the match between Joey Rosas, FKA Pink Shirt, and his katropa, Isiah Valencia. So according to Rowan, this is the storyline na pinaka nahook siya because Joey Rosas is suddenly his favorite MWF wrestler and he feels na Joey carried the whole feud with his wit and his comedic timing. And para kay Rowan, of all the trainee graduation matches, like stand out daw to because this is a story that's been going on for about 6 months. And now that Rowan mentions it, I'm like, oh nga no, this has been going around for about half a year. And it all started with yung backstory ni Pink Shirt. Natuwa si Rowan na si Isiah Valencia wore his white shirt gear, probably as a callback to how he also once went through that same path. And when Joey Rosas won the match, I was there backstage. Rowan is in the crowd, obviously. He was one of those many people that erupted. And Rowan felt na pre-show palang main event level na. So those are Rowan's words, not mine, obviously, because I work for the company and I'm just reading his outline here. Sabi ni Rowan, gusto rin niya na sumali ng Oro Plata Mata si Joey Rosas because it is so random. And this is why Rowan Camacho is not a promoter. In reality, if you've been following MWF storylines, then you know that Joey Rosas is on his way to joining Hassel. Not even Barangay Bagsakan, which is Isiah's stable, which he offered Joey Rosas an invitation for. Pero yun nga, dinecline nitong si Joey Rosas. So I'm not gonna ask Ro because obviously he's also part of the company. So ikaw, Chino, what did you think about this since you follow MWF on and off?
It's alright. I mean, I get what Rowan liked about it, knowing the boy and how much a fan he is of the product. But I mean, this is gonna sound off, but at the end of the day, this is like a boot campers match, right? This is like,
no, I agree.
It's not like the top bay. It's not like you're talking about. He talks about it like it was Fabio Makisig versus Robin Sane. It is not. It's two boot campers, and so at the end of the day, it's not even the best Filipino wrestling product out there last week. To me, I mean, I can't disregard Rowan's opinions on the matter, but to me, I just thought it was just alright. It was there. It's the first match in a long card, so you didn't. I don't know what stood out to it to Rowan, pero knowing how much a fan he is of the storyline, diba? Ba't ko aalisin sa kanya yun?
No, I can't disagree with that. No, I mean, like, I'm not going to comment about the match, but I'm just going to say that people like what you like, and who are we to tell Rowan don't be a mark for this or that.
Ang sasabihin ko lang is I want to thank Rowan for supporting the Filipino wrestling scene's equivalent of Jose Manalo and Wally Bayola. They do have that dynamic, lalo na nung nagpapamigay sila ng Sogo discount cards.
Joey Rosas is a funny dude. I will say that.
Joey Rosas is funny, and I appreciated that.
Yeah. All right, let's move on to my pick of the week, which comes from last week's episode of Raw. So if this is hitting your podcatchers on a Tuesday, hindi pa namin napanood yung updated episode from this week. So I'm going to pick the match between Imperium and the team of Tommaso Ciampa and Alpha Academy. What a fun trios match. Holy crap. Sobrang gandang showcase lang talaga for all 6 players, all of whom are significant movers and shakers in Monday Night Raw right now. See, Tommaso Ciampa is clearly being built up for something, even though Chad Gable is the current rival of Gunther over the Intercontinental Championship. But you can see why Ciampa is in the mix here, and he is definitely not one to just fade in the background. So you got to appreciate how Ciampa is hell-bent on making his presence felt both as a character and as the human being behind the wrestler. We already know what to expect from Imperium. They always bring it. Pati na rin sina Chad Gable and Otis, to be honest, because they've been such regular fixtures on our TV screen. But I want to give a shout-out to, I believe it was Bobby Roode who produced this match. Because they released a list of the producers. Yes.
I didn't know that.
They said na Bobby Roode was the producer behind this one, and then Nick Aldis was the producer of another good match from last week's episode of Raw. So you see how all of those wrestling minds come together, and that last 2 or 3 minute stretch leading to the finish of this match really had me at the edge of my seat. Literal na nagising ako. Parang okay, seryoso na. They're not here to play or mess around. So I really enjoyed this 6-man match, and I think we talked about how if you're gonna show a current wrestling show to a non-wrestling fan to get them hooked, I believe you guys, yung consensus nyo was Collision. Whereas for me, I was arguing on behalf of Raw because it's basically the new SmackDown from the way that it feels with all the wrestling quality. And this trios match, this 6-man match, is another example of why that statement for me holds true.
I agree. No, I don't disagree with that. I'm just saying that, Collision was my pick nung panahon pa ni Ciampa. Pero now, it's anyone's game, really. I wouldn't mind you showing WWE. WWE is really hitting it right now, so that's pretty cool. I would do that as well, especially with such a likable guy as Chad Gable and Otis, and to an extent, Ciampa. I talked about the booking of this story on last week's stream. I said that more than ever, you gotta stop fucking around and give Gable the championship. Have him be the guy to beat Gunther. Because you can't keep doing the Roman Reigns thing where you build the guy up and then really get him to the spot where people really think and feel he should win. Tapos you're not going to give it to him because you're protecting a reign and an evil heels monster reign. So yan, this is pretty much we're at this point already, and I think Gable's work has spoken for itself as well. I agree with what you said about this match. For now, he gets a moral victory with I think submission. I think did he get the submission?
Yeah. Submission.
Yeah.
On Kaiser.
Kaiser. Yeah. So he gets that. That moral victory, and it's really good. I just wanted to say that nobody does 6-man tag matches like WWE on their main roster. It's just not the same in other companies. It's also not the same in AEW because they ramp up the intensity all the way to the finish, and they keep going all the way to the finish. And that just goes to show you these are legit pros. Like, they don't have that much time to do things, but when it's time for them to turn it on and go for the sprint at the last 3 or 5 minutes, nagagawa nila, and that's what really makes the WWE 6-man tags must watch, no matter who it is, or syempre at the kind of the top. Actually, no matter who it is, whether it's a mid-carder or near the top of the card on the main roster.
Yeah, shout out Tommaso Ciampa, the man. He's not a young lad anymore. Medyo dumami din yung injuries niya over time. So his career has gone through a lot of setbacks. But from this match alone, grabe, parang so Tommaso Ciampa, when he is there, you'll notice him there. Right? He's not the biggest, but his actions speak volumes. And I appreciate the showcase all 6 of these men put on, but most especially Tommaso Ciampa. Being a Tommaso Ciampa fan, I do appreciate how they really made him look good in this matchup. Na parang hindi lang siya nawala as the as the third party dito sa, or third wheel dito sa Alpha Academy. But I also really appreciate how good they made Alpha Academy look. And it wasn't just Gable. Diba? It wasn't just Gable doing his thing, but si Otis also had some shine. Diba? He wasn't just a sidekick now. He was actually there. Diba? Imperium also always blowing it out of the park. So parang I really also enjoyed this 6-man tag.
Yeah, I'm really happy that no one else, or that I was able to call dibs on this one and include it dito sa ating Picks of the Week episode. All right, let's go over to Emil's pick, which comes from Impact 1000 from over the weekend. Congratulations to Impact Wrestling. 1,000 episodes of any show is no joke. So what an accomplishment for that company. They featured the X Division Championship in their main event. It was Chris Sabin versus Lio Rush. So Chris Sabin won his 10th X Division Championship in this match. And Emil pointed out how Chris Sabin main evented episode 1 of Impact in 2004. And then 19 years later, episode 1000, siya ulit yung main event. So nice mirroring heading into this match. Si Emil, he points out that the X Division in and of itself is probably TNA's biggest contribution to the business. Kaya feeling niya it's very fitting that this X Division Championship match main evented the 1000th episode of Impact. He also says it was a great main event match, and it's basically what you'd expect from an X Division Championship match. Lio Rush looked great, and pinapoint out din niya na si Chris Sabin is really such an underappreciated talent, especially throughout his entire career. And he hopes na the Motor City Machine Guns could have had a run in like a bigger promotion so that more people could have seen their greatness at their peak, at their prime. But Impact is pretty much their home, with Alex Shelley being the Impact World Champion and then Chris Sabin being X Division Champion once again. So sila talaga yung nagwawagayway ng bandera ng Impact. On my end, I actually watched this just a few hours ago and I had fun. So much fun. Like, si Chris Sabin, walang kupas talaga. You know, I've seen bits and pieces of his work over the years. I won't lie and say I'm the biggest Impact fan out there. I'm not. But the few matches of the MCMG and of Chris Sabin that I've seen, he does stand out. And here, as a singles guy, sobrang fluid nung galaw niya eh. And like, if you think na Lio Rush can like outquick him and outwit him, then nakipagsabayan si Chris Sabin eh, which really added to the entertainment factor of this match. And I really enjoyed it. So Plus points to Emil here for picking an Impact match, which normally doesn't really make my rotation, and for forcing me to watch this week.
Yeah, many people have MCMG as one of their low-key best tag teams ever, and it's easy to see why. I'm not sure about Chris Sabin being underappreciated. Maybe in a sense, he never got a look from a bigger company, but from Impact, he was always well heralded. Ciampa, he got his world championship back in the day thanks to Option C. So that's the thing that they did with him. It's just a matter of whether or not he stayed in the wrestling business. I know, Jose, that he would do some big boy work outside of the business. So sometimes he never got a consistent run, especially in his later years. So it's a thing that happens to everyone because the business doesn't always pay that well for a living, even if you're like ending up on TV. I've always liked Leo Rush. I'm a big Leo Rush fan. People think that he's a little too fast, a little too out there, especially with his behavioral problems. But he was a really special talent, and there was a reason why WWE originally signed this super small dude who goes 100 miles an hour. He was like the second coming of either Rey Mysterio or Tiger Mask. He's that good, and it sucks. He kind of doesn't stay out of his own way. Either he gets injured or he gets heat, something between the two. That's why you don't see him as much anymore. He doesn't work the bigger promotions anymore. He had a shot in AEW and now he doesn't. And Chris Sabin is really one of those guys that when you hear X Division, you think of the Guns, and then Syempre, TNA back in the day made their bones on the really fast-paced, high-intensity form of wrestling that took hold of the American wrestling scene, especially in the independent. So it's good to see. I'm actually the thing I like most about this is after almost 2 decades, Chris Sabin is still able to work well. And I hope that he is still in good health and good shape. And he's in good shape, but I hope he's also in good health. And you just like to see someone, wrestling as well as he does now than he did, as he did 2 decades ago. It's like he could be like one of the LeBrons of pro wrestling at this point.
Yeah, no, MCMG has a near deified status in Impact Wrestling. Diba? Both of them are holding significant singles championships in the Impact World title and now the X Division World Championship. People are saying that they might do an Option C storyline here. Sana hindi, because that's a very Impact thing to do. But then again, that's a very Impact thing to do. So malay natin.
But it's wrestling, diba? You've got a long-standing tag team. Both of them have singles championships. It's not just an Impact thing.
Yeah, well, okay, fair enough.
The Option C is the Impact thing. the whole trading in the X Division.
The Option C is the Impact thing. But as a whole, Impact 1000 actually also felt very special. They had that Feast or Fire battle royale, so to speak, at the top of the show. They had brought back a lot of people to the show as well. So I really appreciated the effort they put out this week for Impact TV, because essentially what people got was a free pay-per-view in however many hours that Impact airs in the US.
2 hours.
2 hours. There we go.
Yeah. So there. Great pick here from Emil. Chris Sabin versus Leo Rush. The whole match is available on YouTube, by the way. It's free. And it's in HD. So if you want some good wrestling, it's a good 15-minute match. After entrances and championship celebrations. So
pro tip, yung Impact membership sa YouTube is only about $15. So that's what?
That's a lot.
That's like fun.
It's way more than we charge for our Patreon, Chino.
Tsaka it's way more than WWE as well.
I might be wrong. It's less than $15. I just did the math in my head. It was way less. Siguro mga 200 lang yung binayad ko is what I'm
so around $5.
Mga ganun siguro. So it's very affordable too. So
may archive yun, diba?
May archive, may extra content. I actually took it on and I'm enjoying my purchase so far.
Nice. So, that's a good deal. Yeah.
All right. We've got one more pick here. Wala tayong consensus for this week. So let's go to Ro for his pick of the week.
Yeah, it is one a women's match and one a Rampage match. So you don't get to do that often. It is Kris Statlander versus Jade Cargill in what is pretty much it's unspoken, but it's pretty much Jade Cargill's last match in AEW because she is rumored to go to WWE. I think we talked about this, or we're talking about it on Thursday kasi over the weekend nang pala lumabas yung rumor. And it was pretty much the rematch from the short TBS championship match that they had in I don't know, what pay-per-view was that? Double or Nothing? Double or Nothing, yeah.
Yeah.
So when Kris Statlander came back and won the championship from Jade in Jade's second match of the night. So this is really, really good stuff. Like it's so good. Kris Statlander is like my low-key best women's wrestler in the entire AEW roster. She shows why because very few women on the roster can move as confidently and as smoothly as a man. I'm not trying to compare them to men, but she doesn't move like your whatever image of women's wrestler that you have in your head, diba? So Stat is such a natural athlete, and she led Jade to a really, really good match in which Jade proved na rin how solid she is, how promising she is as a pro wrestler coming from a non-pro wrestling background before coming to AEW, diba? And if this was like a showcase for Jade when for the WWE when she finally goes over there, then I think it was a successful mission. Okay, this is what you're getting. You're getting the athlete that successfully transitioned to pro wrestling, which is pretty much yung formula na rin nila sa performance center, diba? So this was also a really fitting farewell match for Jade kasi it was the highly competitive match that she didn't get nung Double or Nothing. So really, really good stuff. It was the better Kris Statlander main event of the weekend. She main evented both weekend shows, Rampage and Collision. So that goes to show you then how much they value Kris Statlander as champion.
Yeah, si Ro hit it on the head when he said, hindi ito women's wrestling match, quote unquote. Diba? Kasi ako, when I was watching it, I was already done with the notion of quote unquote divas wrestling. Or yung girly girl wrestling na he was alluding to, because this match was very, very hard hitting, very fast paced. Both ladies looked very strong. Natuwa ako sa intensity nitong match na to, and if this is the kind of intensity that Jade Cargill brings to maybe NXT or the main roster, then she will be an instant star because she has the look. Diba? She has the charisma. So I am all for Cargill getting a bigger stage kasi feeling ko talaga yung style niya din, her overall package is much better served on a glitzier product like the WWE.
So we know na, or we can probably assume at this point na palis na nga ng AEW itong si Jade Cargill, especially because of the rumors and lahat ng mga bali-balita from everybody online. But what do you guys think about her curtain call moment at the end with Kris Statlander? Because Jade Cargill, throughout her entire run in AEW, she's presented herself as basically that bitch. Her words, diba? That's why she called the TBS that bitch show. That's her championship. And then she's been such a baddie talaga. When she came back from injury, she feigned helping Stat only to turn on her and beat her down. And then she still had yung angas niya heading into the Rampage rematch, only for her to shake Stat's hand afterward and give her a hug as if they've been friends for a long time. So what do you think about that curtain call in the year of our Lord 2023?
Okay, so one of the problems I had with this match when I saw it was that it was super underpromoted. Like nobody, I think Ciampa, you get the rundown before the main event ng Dynamite, but other than that, there were no bones made about this match. And when I found out that it was going to be Jade's last, or purportedly Jade's last match with the company, I understood why. Because as Tony Khan as promoter, you don't want to really draw attention to the fact that this is the final swan song of your of one of your biggest stars over the homegrown. The homegrown over the past few years. Because you don't want to draw attention to the fact that she's leaving for what she believes is greener pastures, diba? So I get it. I think that moment pretty much solidified yung rumors. Like it proved that they were true. Na kasi syempre, if she was coming back next week, then obviously she wouldn't throw away her entire character and creative by doing that with Stat, diba? So I thought it was nice. Looking back at it, I didn't know at the time that Jade was leaving, but I also, without that knowledge, I thought it was a nice moment. Kasi parang, I don't know why, but I believed the emotion that she showed there.
All right, ikaw, Chino.
Ako, other than it proving yung mga rumors and innuendos na nababasa natin online, I appreciated the show of respect. That said, hindi nakatulong to sa body image niya. So yes, tama, it might as well confirm na that is Jade's last match, diba? Na hindi na natin siya makikita on AEW TV anytime soon, diba? I other than that, kasi I don't know what they tried to accomplish with Jade giving Stat her flowers like that on TV still, diba? After the show, may gets ko pa, but on TV while it's still going, parang medyo weird din niya siya. So yun lang yung na-accomplish niya. I don't see anything logical about it other than that.
Yeah, yun lang. I just felt like asking it because it kind of threw me off, even though I watched the match knowing the same thing we all know now, which was, yung nga, parang farewell match niya na nga yun in AEW. It was just very strange since Jade was never presented as anything more than a very cocky and arrogant heel throughout her entire run in AEW. So there. Quick recap of our picks of the week as we wrap this one up. You've got Wrestlers on Netflix. That's from Chino. From Rowan, the match between Joey Rosas and Isiah Valencia from MWF Road to Fate. For me, the trios match between Imperium and the team of Tommaso Ciampa and Alpha Academy from last week's Raw. For Emil, it's Kris Sabin versus Lio Rush for the X Division Championship ng Impact 1000. And for Raw, it's Kris Statlander versus Jade Cargill from this past weekend's Rampage. So there, that's gonna do it for our Picks of the Week special. You know what to do if you want to add yours or chime in sa conversation namin. Hit us up. It is at Rois War, at Chino Supersized, at Monday Night Rowan, at EML_Meister, and at _Stan C. Don't forget to follow the podcast on TikTok and on Twitter. It is at Wrestling2XPod. For Facebook and Instagram, it is at Wrestling Podcast. And if you haven't yet, please do give us a follow on Spotify and give us a 5-star rating over there and wherever else you get your podcasts. We will catch you on Thursday at 7 p.m. sa ating Facebook page and YouTube channel for our weekly live stream. Pati na rin sa TikTok if we can get that to work for this week.
God. Yeah,
we always have a lot to talk
now.
about.
Yeah.
And we always have something technical and logistical to fix. Pero we will pull through kasi kaya natin yan. Kung si Biebs kaya mag-Singapore, tayo kaya nating ayusin yung mga problema natin. No? Thank you very much to Babyface producer Jasper and all of the wonderful people over at the Pod Network for all of the work that they do to keep this podcast afloat. And thank you to every listener, subscriber, follower of the podcast, all of the patrons as well for all of the support that you've shown us over the years. On behalf of Chino Liao and Ro Moran, another episode of the Wrestling Podcast is officially in the books. My name is Stan C. Stay safe, stay healthy, and don't be a dick. Wrestling Podcast. Out. Bye-bye.
Peace.
The opinions of podcast creators, hosts, and guests are not necessarily reflective of the official stance of the Pod Network Entertainment, its hosts, or other network programs. The content created by the people behind the podcast is personal and not meant to harm any religion, ethnicity, group, organization,